It's composted bark chip, you see. Composted, is that like aged peat in a way? See a connection there, fellas? Connecting a few dots there, light bulbs going off. Light bulb moment. So what with the universal surfactant, we get instantaneous, gratification. So we do this, get it set up, and we put the plants in, and we just start watching them grow straight away. And it's good growth. You think, oh wow, I'm impressed with that. I want to do more of that. But you want one basic formula that does it all. So any CP, because you know the fundamental story behind CPs, what it's all about. So you only have to make up one general mix to cover, if not 75, 80%, if not more. You don't have to do special ones for things like Drosophilum and some of the Mexican pinguiculars, things like that, and some of the specialist pinguiculars from the fen country and things like that. Apart from that, you can have one basic mix. Now, we calculated pretty well for this. Well, we made up, 8 litres of sand and that, because we got a 10-litre bucket, and I think we're going to be pretty much on the money. Well, that's what science is all about, isn't it? Reproducibility, good calculations. I think that's what it is. If you put your faith in the scientific method, it will reward you, but only if you place it on firm foundations. And I think that's what's been the problem over the years, fellas. The scientific method couldn't work because it wasn't built on firm foundations. It's all this bullshit about the eating the insects from the nitrogen, and you see plants out in the wild, traps fully open for most of the season. And I'm saying, whoa, if they're not eating the insects, they're still growing, where are they getting the nitrogen from? And then, of course, the question is, well, if they're not eating the insects from the nitrogen because they're not eating the insects, what do they actually really want from the insects? And then you have these, certain people out there in the field, they're sort of sitting there gormlessly with all this stuff around them, and you say, hang on, if the environment is supposed to be nitrogen poor, nitrogen deficient, all the plants around the area should be yellow because they're starving of nitrogen. And you look around the whole bog, you've got your CPs here, and everything else around them is green. And you think, well, that story about, being in a nitrogen poor environment must be a load of bullshit, because all the plants are not yellow. In some of them, in fact, they're quite green and very verdant in some cases. So you're thinking, nah, that's it. They haven't even built the scientific method on firm foundations. The evidence straight away around you is telling you you're wrong, you're incorrect. At the very best, you can say they're incorrect, but I would say they're wrong. Everything around them is green. You're not in a nitrogen deficient poor environment. Maybe they have trouble getting to it, but all the other plants are nice and green, and when they rot down, surely they'll pass the nitrogen on either into the atmosphere or into the soil, chewed up by insects and animals and other things. It'll be passed down the usual biological cycle or web of life, basically, as they say. Anyway, that's about it for this one. We'll talk more about this one in the next video, I think. Okay.